Chapter 1: The Storm and the Shadow. Rain lashed against the windows, the wind howling like a banshee. Amelia, curled under the covers, clutched her favorite teddy bear, Mr. Snuggles. Every creak of the old house, every groan of the ancient oak outside her window, sent shivers down her spine. Halloween night had always been unsettling for Amelia. The combination of flickering jack-o'-lanterns, spooky costumes, and horror movie marathons on TV left her feeling vulnerable and afraid. Tonight was worse. Her parents were out for a Halloween party, leaving her alone with the storm and her overactive imagination. Earlier, she'd foolishly watched a cheesy horror flick filled with possessed dolls and creepy clowns. Now regret gnawed at her. Every rustle in the bushes sent her heart hammering against her ribs. Suddenly, a loud crash from downstairs shattered the tense silence. Amelia shot upright, her breath catching in her throat. Had something fallen? A burglar? Her mind conjured images of the weirdo she'd seen lurking in her garden a few weeks ago, the one who wouldn't die even after the police shot him, a figment of her overactive imagination fueled by too much candy and scary movies. Terror locked her limbs. Sleep paralysis, a horrifying condition she'd experienced after watching a similar movie a few years ago, threatened to take hold. Back then, she'd seen a demon emerge from her closet during a storm, its grotesque form feeding on her deepest fears. She squeezed her eyes shut, willing herself to move, to scream for help, anything to break free from the terrifying paralysis. A low moan echoed from downstairs, sending a fresh wave of terror through her. Couldn't be real, could it? The wind, she told herself, just the wind playing tricks on her rattled nerves. But the sound lingered, a chilling counterpoint to the storm's fury. Tears welled up in her eyes. She was alone, trapped in her own personal horror movie. Taking a deep, shuddering breath, Amelia decided to face her fear. She wouldn't let the paralysis win. Inch by inch, she willed her body to move. Her fingers twitched, then her toes. Slowly, agonizingly slowly, she regained control. Wiping her tears, Amelia grabbed a baseball bat from her room, a weapon against the unseen threats that haunted her. Her heart hammered a frantic rhythm against her ribs as she crept towards the stairs, each step echoing in the eerie silence. The floorboards creaked under her weight, the sounds magnified by the storm's roar. Reaching the top of the stairs, Amelia peered down into the darkness. The living room was bathed in an eerie glow from the dying embers in the fireplace. The source of the earlier crash remained a mystery. Hesitantly, she took a step down, the old wooden stairs groaning in protest. Just then, a flash of lightning illuminated the room. In that split second, Amelia saw a figure huddled by the window, its back to her. A gasp escaped her lips. Was it a burglar? Or something far more sinister? Chapter 2: The Shadow Reveals Itself. The figure by the window remained motionless, silhouetted against the flickering light from the fireplace. Amelia, adrenaline coursing through her veins, gripped the baseball bat tighter. Her mind, fueled by years of horror movies and a healthy dose of teenage angst, conjured terrifying possibilities. Taking a fortifying breath, Amelia called out, her voice trembling slightly, "Hello? Is anyone there?" The silence stretched, thick and suffocating. Outside, the storm raged on, but the figure at the window seemed unfazed. Amelia inched a step closer, her heart hammering against her ribs. "Who are you?" she repeated, her voice gaining a hint of defiance. Suddenly, the figure turned, revealing a young girl about her age. Her face was pale and streaked with tears, her eyes wide with fear. Relief washed over Amelia, momentarily pushing back the lingering terror. "Oh, thank goodness," Amelia sighed, lowering the baseball bat slightly. "You scared me half to death. What are you doing here?" The girl stared at her, her lips trembling. Rain dripped down her red hair, soaking her Halloween costume, a ragged witch's robe. Finally, she spoke in a voice barely above a whisper. I ran away. Curiosity warring with caution, Amelia took a hesitant step forward. Why did you run away? The girl bit her lip, then blurted out, My stepdad. He's mean. He yells a lot. I couldn't take it anymore. Amelia's heart went out to the girl. She remembered countless arguments with her own parents, the slammed doors and raised voices. But running away in a storm? That seemed drastic. Where are your parents? Amelia asked gently. The girl shook her head, tears welling up in her eyes again. Mom's gone. My dad. He doesn't care. Amelia knew she couldn't leave the girl alone in the storm, but sneaking her in while her parents were gone was a recipe for disaster. Look, she said, trying to sound calm despite the frantic thrumming in her chest. You can't stay here. It's dangerous. Do you know where you live? The girl shook her head again. I just ran. Amelia sighed. Her phobia of small spaces battled with her sense of responsibility. Hiding the girl in the basement, a cramped, windowless space filled with forgotten toys, was out of the question. All right, Amelia decided. Come inside. We'll figure something out when the storm calms down. With another glance at the raging storm outside, the girl hesitantly followed Amelia into the house. Amelia quickly shut and bolted the door, the sound hollow and reassuring. As the girl followed her into the living room, Amelia noticed a small, worn teddy bear clutched tightly in her hand. A flicker of recognition crossed Amelia's mind. Wait, she said, her voice incredulous. Is that Mr. Snuggles? The girl stared at her, her eyes wide with surprise. How do you know his name? That's my teddy bear, Amelia explained, pointing to the worn brown bear lying on the couch. I lost him years ago. The revelation hung heavy in the air, as unsettling as the storm raging outside. Could this be a coincidence? Or was something more at play? Chapter 3, Secrets and Shadows. Amelia stared at the girl, a whirlwind of emotions swirling inside her. Denial battled with a chilling sense of truth. Could this ragged, tear-stained girl truly be connected to the loss of her beloved Mr. Snuggles all those years ago? It seemed impossible, yet the worn brown teddy bear clutched in the girl's hand mirrored her own perfectly. A single button eye missing, one ear stitched back together. How did you get Mr. Snuggles? Amelia asked, her voice barely a whisper. The girl, whose name Amelia learned was Lily, looked down at the bear in her hand, a flicker of fear replacing the initial surprise. He's always been mine, she mumbled. Amelia's heart hammered against her ribs. The pieces of the puzzle were starting to fall into place, but the picture it formed was unsettling. Mr. Snuggles had vanished when she was just a little girl, a time shrouded in hazy memories. Could Lily, somehow, be tangled in those memories? Where did you get him? Amelia pressed, her voice firmer this time. Lily bit her lip, her gaze darting nervously around the room. I can't tell you. The storm outside seemed to intensify, mirroring the tension building inside the house. Amelia's claustrophobia gnawed at her, the confined space of the living room suddenly suffocating. The thought of the basement, typically a haven for forgotten toys, filled her with dread. Taking a deep breath, Amelia tried a different approach. Look, Lily, it's okay. You're safe here. But I need to understand what's going on. Why did you run away? And how did you end up with my teddy bear? Lily remained silent for a moment, her eyes filled with a mixture of fear and defiance. Then, in a rush of words, she poured out her story. It was a tale of a broken home, a neglectful father, and a string of stepfathers, each worse than the last. The final straw, she explained, was a particularly nasty argument with her current stepfather, a man who seemed to take pleasure in tormenting her. As she listened, Amelia realized Lily wasn't just alone. She was desperate. But the connection to Mr. Snuggles remained a mystery, a dark secret shrouded in the shadows of Lily's past. Just then, a loud bang came from upstairs, jolting them both. Lily screamed, burying her face in Mr. Snuggles. Amelia's fear of elevators flickered momentarily, but it was quickly replaced by a surge of protectiveness towards the girl. "Stay here," Amelia instructed, grabbing a poker from the fireplace. Her heart pounded in her chest as she crept towards the source of the noise. Could be the wind, or it could be something more sinister. As she reached the top of the stairs, the wind outside seemed to howl its defiance. Hesitantly, Amelia pushed open the creaky attic door, revealing a dusty, cobweb-filled space. Moonlight streamed through a small window, casting long, distorted shadows. Her search proved fruitless. There was nothing but old furniture shrouded in white sheets and forgotten trinkets gathering dust. Relieved, Amelia made her way back downstairs. "It's okay," she reassured Lily, who was still huddled on the couch. "There's nothing up there." But the feeling of unease lingered. The unexplained noise, the connection to Mr. Snuggles, it all felt too strange to be a coincidence. Something dark and unsettling lurked beneath the surface, a secret waiting to be unearthed. As dawn finally broke, painting the sky with streaks of pink and orange, the storm subsided, leaving behind an eerie silence. Amelia's parents were due back any minute. Hiding Lily and Mr. Snuggles' secret would be difficult, but the thought of sending the scared girl back to her abusive home was unbearable. Amelia knew she had to make a decision, but the answer remained shrouded in the shadows that lingered after the storm. Chapter 4: A Risky Choice. Sunlight streamed through the window, casting long shadows across the living room. Exhausted from the night's ordeal, Amelia and Lily sat huddled together on the couch, Mr. Snuggles serving as a silent bridge between them. The storm had passed, leaving behind a crisp autumn air and a gnawing sense of uncertainty. Lily, with eyes red-rimmed from crying, recounted her story again, this time with more detail. Memories of a childhood spent in a rambling old house with a kind woman who always kept a warm smile on her face surfaced. There was a mention of a fire, a frantic escape, and the chilling realization that the woman wasn't her biological mother. Amelia listened intently, the missing pieces of her own past slowly clicking into place. Lily's hazy descriptions of the old house matched the forgotten memories buried deep within Amelia's own childhood. Vaguely, she recalled a fire, a warm embrace, and a sense of overwhelming loss. Could the smiling woman be the one who took care of her before? Before what? The memory remained fragmented, shrouded in a thick fog of fear and confusion. But the reappearance of Mr. Snuggles in Lily's possession was a tangible link, a thread leading back to a past desperately trying to be revealed. A knock on the door shattered the tense silence. Amelia's heart jumped into her throat. It was her parents, returning early from their Halloween party. Panic surged through her. Hiding Lily and the truth about Mr. Snuggles in a house with her claustrophobic elevator-hating parents was a logistical nightmare. "Amelia!" Her mother's voice called out, laced with concern. "Are you all right in there?" Thinking fast, Amelia scrambled to her feet. "Coming!" she shouted, pushing Lily towards the back entrance. "Just had a bit of a rough night with the storm." Leading her parents away from Lily, Amelia fabricated a story about a sleepless night fueled by thunder and flickering lights. Her parents, oblivious to the drama unfolding behind the scenes, merely brushed it off. "Maybe next year, you should invite a friend to stay over," her mother suggested kindly. The suggestion sent shivers down Amelia's spine. Housing a runaway in her cramped house was a recipe for disaster, especially with her parents' nosy tendencies. Yet, the thought of turning Lily back over to her abusive stepfather was unthinkable. As her parents settled back into their morning routine, Amelia snuck a glance towards the back door. It was slightly ajar, a silent plea from Lily waiting on the other side. Taking a deep breath, Amelia made a decision. It was a risky one, fueled by empathy and a desire to unravel the mysteries surrounding her own past. Pushing past her fear of confined spaces, Amelia navigated the dreaded stairs, each step a battle against her phobia. Reaching the basement door, she hesitated. The musty, windowless space filled her with dread, but the need to help Lily outweighed her fear. With a shaky hand, Amelia unlocked the door, the sound echoing through the silent house. A wave of dust greeted her as she stepped inside. Cobwebs hung from the exposed beams, and forgotten toys cast long, eerie shadows in the dim light. Ignoring the chill that crept up her spine, Amelia called out, "Lily, are you there?" A muffled sob answered her. Following the sound, Amelia found Lily huddled amongst a pile of old stuffed animals. Mr. Snuggles clutched tightly in her arms. The familiar teddy bear seemed to bridge the distance between them, a silent symbol of a shared past. I heard your parents," Lily stammered, her voice filled with fear. "I thought, they don't know you're here," Amelia reassured her, taking a seat beside her on the dusty floor. "But I can't keep you hidden forever. We need a plan." Lily sniffled, wiping her tears with the back of her hand. "I don't have anywhere to go." Amelia knew then that sending Lily back wasn't an option. The girl needed help, a place where she felt safe and secure. But with her parents' prying eyes and her own crippling phobias, the situation felt like a dead end. Suddenly, a childhood memory flickered in Amelia's mind. A memory of a kind elderly woman who lived across the street, a woman known for her warm smile and love for baking cookies. Was Mrs. Henderson still around? Had the years eroded the image of a safe haven? "There might be someone who can help," Amelia said tentatively, a flicker of hope rekindling in her eyes. "But it's a long shot." She explained about Mrs. Henderson, the kind woman who lived across the street. With a spark of determination in her eyes, Lily agreed. It was a desperate gamble. Amelia's heart pounded a frantic rhythm against her ribs as she led Lily across the street, the weight of their audacious plans settling heavily upon them. Each step towards Mrs. Henderson's house felt like a step into the unknown. Years had passed since Amelia last saw the old woman. The house, once a warm beacon of cinnamon and freshly baked cookies, seemed to have aged alongside its owner. The paint was peeling, the porch swing creaked mournfully, and an air of neglect hung heavy in the air. Amelia hesitated, her fear of elevators bubbling just below the surface. The image of Mrs. Henderson's cozy living room, a refuge from the storm years ago, fueled her resolve. Taking a deep breath, she pressed the doorbell. A long moment passed, filled only with the tick-tock of an old grandfather clock that seemed to echo their anxiety. Just as Amelia considered knocking, the door creaked open, revealing a frail figure silhouetted against the dim hallway. "Amelia," Mrs. Henderson's voice, raspy with age, held a hint of surprise. "Is that you, dear?" Relief washed over Amelia. Recognition flickered in the woman's eyes despite the wrinkles that carved a map across her face. Stepping forward, Amelia pulled Lily close to her side. "Mrs. Henderson, this is Lily. She needs your help." Mrs. Henderson's gaze shifted from Amelia to the tear-stained face of Lily. A flicker of understanding softened her features. Ushering them inside, she closed the door, shutting out the cool autumn air and the uncertainty lingering outside. The living room, though slightly dusty from disuse, held the same familiar warmth Amelia remembered. The scent of cinnamon, faint but lingering, brought back a flood of forgotten memories. Mrs. Henderson led them to a worn couch, its cushions filled with the promise of comfort and a listening ear. Amelia, hesitant at first, poured out the story. She spoke of the storm, the runaway girl, and the reappearance of Mr. Snuggles, the missing piece of a puzzle leading back to a fractured past. As she spoke, memories surfaced one by one. A warm embrace during a frightening fire, a kind voice singing a lullaby that soothed her fears. Mrs. Henderson listened intently, her eyes filled with a mixture of sadness and recognition. When Amelia finished, a long silence filled the room, broken only by the soft ticking of the clock. "So," Mrs. Henderson finally spoke, her voice trembling slightly, "you believe Lily might be my sister?" Amelia finished, the word tasting strange but strangely fitting on her tongue. Mrs. Henderson nodded slowly. "It's possible," she admitted. "The fire, you were both very young. The records are incomplete." Lily, who had listened with wide eyes, clutched Mr. Snuggles tighter. The revelation hung in the air, heavy with the weight of the past. "But what does it all mean?" Amelia asked, her voice choked with emotion. "Why did you never tell me?" Mrs. Henderson sighed, a deep sadness filling her eyes. "It wasn't my place to tell. Your parents, they were distraught. They just wanted to move on, to forget." A wave of anger washed over Amelia. Forget what? A sister? A fire? The memories, however fragmented, stirred a deep longing within her. "But I don't want to forget," Amelia said, her voice stronger now. "I want to know everything." Mrs. Henderson, her gaze fixed on the flames flickering in the fireplace, seemed lost in her own memories. "There's more," she finally whispered, her voice barely audible. "More to the story. Secrets buried deep within this house." Intrigue clawed at Amelia. Secrets? In this house? A sense of adventure, tinged with apprehension, bubbled within her. Perhaps the answers to her past, and the reason Lily had found her way back, lay hidden within these very walls. As the afternoon sun cast long shadows across the living room, Mrs. Henderson, Amelia, and Lily sat huddled together, a tentative bond forming between them. The storm may have passed, but a new chapter, filled with unsettling discoveries and the promise of a long-lost family, was just beginning. Chapter 5: Whispers of the Past. The revelation that Lily might be her long-lost sister hung heavy in the air. Amelia felt a kaleidoscope of emotions swirl within her: anger at her parents for keeping it a secret, a protectiveness towards Lily, and a yearning to know more about the missing pieces of her past. Mrs. Henderson, her face etched with sadness, explained what she knew. The fire had been devastating, consuming their childhood home and leaving a trail of fragmented memories. Amelia's parents, overwhelmed with grief, chose to move on, leaving behind the painful remnants of their past. Lily, however, was separated from them in the chaos, her fate shrouded in mystery until now. But Mrs. Henderson hinted at more. Secrets, she claimed, lay hidden within the very walls of this old house. The house where Amelia and Lily had spent their first years together. Curiosity, laced with a touch of apprehension, sparked in Amelia's eyes. Could these secrets be the key to unlocking their past? The following days were a whirlwind of activity. Amelia, fueled by a desire for knowledge, delved into the dusty corners of Mrs. Henderson's attic. Cobwebs clung to forgotten furniture, and the air hung thick with the scent of time. Amongst the forgotten toys and faded photographs, Amelia discovered a hidden compartment within an old oak chest. Inside, she found a leather-bound journal, its pages filled with Mrs. Henderson's delicate handwriting. The entries spoke of a time before the fire, a time filled with laughter and the joy of raising two young girls. Amelia devoured the pages, each entry painting a vivid picture of her lost childhood and the bond she shared with Lily. One particular entry sent shivers down Amelia's spine. It spoke of a strange occurrence during a storm, a flicker of blue light that appeared from the attic and seemed to ignite the fire. Mrs. Henderson confessed to burying a small, ornate box containing a strange amulet in the garden, fearing its connection to the fire. Amelia's phobia of basements momentarily forgotten, she enlisted Lily's help in searching the overgrown garden. After hours of digging, they unearthed a tarnished metal box, its surface etched with symbols that sent a jolt of unease through Amelia. Inside, nestled in velvet, lay a silver amulet engraved with a crescent moon. A wave of dizziness washed over Amelia, a feeling of déjà vu so potent it felt like a memory. As she held the amulet, flashes of an unseen presence, a shadowy figure with glowing blue eyes, infiltrated her mind. Fear gripped her, a coldness emanating from the amulet itself. Back in the attic, they presented the journal and the amulet to Mrs. Henderson. The old woman's eyes widened in recognition as she examined the amulet. With a trembling voice, she revealed a chilling truth. The fire wasn't an accident. It was the work of a local legend, a malevolent spirit known as the Blue-Eyed Shadow. The spirit, attracted by the amulet, fed on negative emotions, particularly grief and fear. During a fierce storm, the Blue-Eyed Shadow had been drawn to the house, its presence igniting the flames. A horrifying realization dawned on Amelia. The blue light Mrs. Henderson mentioned, the fragmented memory of fear during the storm, it all tied in. Lily, sensing Amelia's growing dread, squeezed her hand. Their past wasn't just about the fire and their separation. It was entangled with a supernatural entity. The revelation left them feeling exposed and vulnerable. But amidst the fear, a fierce determination bloomed within Amelia. She wouldn't let the Blue-Eyed Shadow win. She would protect Lily and discover the truth behind their past, no matter the cost. Together, with Mrs. Henderson as their guide, they began researching the Blue-Eyed Shadow. They scoured through Old Town records, interviewed local historians, and even ventured to the local library, a place that usually triggered Amelia's claustrophobia, fueled by its labyrinthine shelves and towering stacks of books. Their research led them to a hidden passage in the basement, a passage deliberately concealed after the fire. Armed with flashlights and newfound bravery, Amelia, overcoming her phobia step by step, ventured into the unknown with Lily by her side. The basement air hung heavy with a damp chill, the silence broken only by the rhythmic drip of water somewhere deep within the darkness. Amelia, heart hammering against her ribs, gripped the flashlight tighter, its beam cutting through the gloom. Lily, her eyes wide with apprehension, stayed close behind. Following the narrow passage revealed from Mrs. Henderson's cryptic instructions, they navigated a labyrinth of crumbling brick walls and dusty floorboards. The air grew thick with the smell of mildew and forgotten memories. Each creak and groan of the old house echoed in the confined space, testing Amelia's newfound resolve. Suddenly, the passage opened into a small, forgotten room. Cobwebs draped the corners, and a thick layer of dust coated everything in a layer of neglect. In the center of the room stood a weathered wooden chest, its brass hinges tarnished and dull. A collective gasp escaped Amelia and Lily's lips. This seemed to be the source of the unsettling energy they could vaguely sense within the house. Hesitantly, Amelia approached the chest, her breath catching in her throat. Etched on the lid of the chest was a symbol, a crescent moon strikingly similar to the one engraved on the amulet they found. Amelia's mind raced. Could this be where the Blue-Eyed Shadow originated? Overcoming a surge of fear, Amelia turned to Lily. "Stay back," she instructed, her voice barely a whisper. Lily, understanding the gravity of the situation, nodded, her hand clutching Mr. Snuggles tightly. Amelia, with trembling fingers, carefully lifted the lid of the chest. A wave of icy air blasted out, followed by an eerie blue glow that emanated from within. Amelia squinted at the source, a book, bound in dark leather and adorned with the same crescent moon symbol. Its pages seemed to shimmer with an otherworldly light. Anxiety gnawed at Amelia. This book was more than just an old journal. It felt like a conduit to the malevolent entity itself. But the urge to understand, to unlock the secrets of their past, was too strong to ignore. With a deep breath, Amelia reached for the book. As her fingers brushed the leather cover, a wave of dizziness washed over her. Images flooded her mind, swirling blue mists, a guttural voice whispering promises, and a feeling of overwhelming fear. Panic surged through her. She was teetering on the edge, on the verge of being consumed by the Blue-Eyed Shadow's influence. But then, a warmth flooded her, a memory of love and laughter, a shared embrace with Lily. Suddenly, the blue glow intensified, and a chilling voice echoed through the room. "Finally, After all this time, a worthy vessel, Amelia screamed, dropping the book. Lily, sensing the danger, lunged forward and grabbed her hand. Together, they stumbled back, their eyes fixed on the chest. A wisp of blue mist emerged from the book, taking the shape of a shadowy figure with glowing blue eyes. It was the blue-eyed shadow, materialized and hungry for a host. Terror threatened to paralyze Amelia, but the memory of her newfound sister fueled her courage. Taking a deep breath, she grabbed Lily's hand tighter. "We won't let you win," she shouted, her voice surprisingly steady. The blue-eyed shadow swirled menacingly, its voice dripping with malice. "You have no idea the power you underestimate, child." Just as the shadow lunged towards them, the attic door at the top of the hidden passage creaked open. Mrs. Henderson, bathed in the light streaming from above, stood silhouetted in the doorway. In her hand, she held a small, silver cross, a symbol of unwavering faith. "Leave them alone," she cried out, her voice filled with defiance. The blue-eyed shadow recoiled from the cross, its form flickering and wavering. Mrs. Henderson, her voice trembling slightly, continued, "You have no power here, demon. This house is filled with love and light, and that is something you cannot defeat." As Mrs. Henderson spoke, the attic light seemed to intensify, pushing back the blue glow emanating from the chest. The blue-eyed shadow writhed in pain, its form shrinking before dissolving into wisps of dissipating mist. Relief washed over Amelia and Lily. They had faced a terrifying entity and, with the help of Mrs. Henderson, emerged victorious. Exhausted but exhilarated, they emerged from the hidden passage, blinking in the warm sunlight that streamed through the basement window. The experience had changed them. The revelation of their past, the encounter with the blue-eyed shadow, and the bond they had forged with Mrs. Henderson formed an unbreakable connection. News of the fire and the hidden passage eventually reached Amelia's parents. The initial shock gave way to a wave of emotions: guilt, regret, and a desperate yearning. News of the fire and the hidden passage, along with the truth about Lily, hit Amelia's parents like a bombshell. The initial denial crumbled in the face of overwhelming evidence. Amelia's memories unlocked by the journal, the strange amulet, and finally, Mrs. Henderson's tearful confession. Guilt, regret, and a desperate yearning for reconciliation hung heavy in the air. Days turned into weeks as Amelia and Lily navigated the emotional minefield. Their once peaceful home now felt strained, the silence punctuated by tearful apologies and hesitant conversations. Amelia, caught between her newfound sister and her remorseful parents, felt a tug-of-war within herself. Forgiveness, while necessary, wasn't easy. Years of unspoken truths gnawed at her. Lily, ever the pragmatist, became a bridge between them. Observing the silent tension, she took it upon herself to break the ice. One afternoon, she found Amelia staring out the window, lost in thought. "They miss you," Lily stated simply, her voice laced with understanding. Amelia turned, surprised. "How do you know?" Lily shrugged. "It's how I feel when I look at Mrs. Henderson. Like a piece of me is missing." Amelia smiled sadly. "It's complicated, Lily. They made a choice, but they can choose again," Lily interrupted, her eyes filled with a hopeful glint. "Just like we did." Amelia looked at her sister, her heart swelling with affection. In that moment, she realized that Lily was a gift, a missing piece of her past that had come back to fill a void she hadn't even recognized. Together, they decided to approach their parents, not with anger, but with a plea for understanding. They recounted their ordeal with the blue-eyed shadow, the truth about the fire, and the importance of family. The revelation of the supernatural entity added another layer of complexity to the story. Amelia's parents, initially skeptical, were forced to confront the possibility of unseen forces influencing their lives. But ultimately, it was the raw vulnerability in their daughter's eyes that pierced their hearts. Tears flowed freely that evening. Apologies were exchanged, forgiveness slowly taking root. The path to healing wouldn't be easy, but with open communication and a newfound understanding, they were finally taking the first steps. The house, once haunted by secrets and unspoken truths, began to feel like a home again. Laughter replaced the silence, and the scent of Mrs. Henderson's freshly baked cookies filled the air, a symbol of warmth and togetherness. The ordeal with the blue-eyed shadow had left them shaken but stronger. It had brought them face to face with the darkness within their past, but it had also shown them the power of love and family. One evening, as they sat around the fireplace, Lily snuggled into Amelia's side. "Do you think we'll ever face another blue-eyed shadow?" she asked, a hint of apprehension in her voice. Amelia smiled, ruffling Lily's hair. "Maybe," she said, "but we'll face it together, as sisters." Lily grinned, a newfound confidence shining in her eyes. Outside, a storm raged, but within the warm glow of the fire, they knew they were no longer alone. They had each other, a bond forged in the face of darkness, a reminder that even the most terrifying shadows could be overcome by the light of love and acceptance. The story of the sisters and the blue-eyed shadow would become a whispered legend passed down through generations, a testament to the enduring power of family and the courage it takes to face the past, no matter how frightening it may be. The years that followed were a whirlwind of change. Amelia and Lily, their bonds strengthened by shared experiences, navigated the highs and lows of adolescence together. Mrs. Henderson, a constant source of love and wisdom, became a cherished part of their extended family. News of the blue-eyed shadow incident spread through the small town in hushed whispers. Amelia and Lily found themselves reluctantly drawn into the role of local heroes, occasionally consulted by townsfolk who suspected unusual occurrences in their homes. One particularly hot summer day, an elderly woman named Miss Crowley arrived at their doorstep, her face creased with worry. She confessed to experiencing strange flickering lights and objects inexplicably moving in her old Victorian mansion. The description sent a shiver down Amelia's spine. It sounded eerily similar to the events that preceded the blue-eyed shadow's manifestation. Despite their initial hesitation, Amelia, emboldened by their past experience, decided to help. Together with Lily and armed with a newfound knowledge gleaned from forgotten texts Mrs. Henderson unearthed, they ventured into Miss Crowley's dusty mansion. The air inside felt heavy, the silence broken only by the creaking of floorboards beneath their feet. Following the trail of unexplained occurrences, they arrived at a hidden room, a small library untouched by time. Cobwebs draped the shelves filled with leather-bound books and cryptic symbols adorned the walls. A faint blue glow emanated from a cracked crystal ball resting on a dusty pedestal. It was a beacon, calling to Amelia like a siren song. As she neared it, a wave of dizziness washed over her, images flashing in her mind. Images of a forgotten ritual, of an entity trapped within the crystal ball long ago. Suddenly, the air crackled with electricity, and the crystal ball pulsed with an ominous blue light. A spectral figure materialized, its form eerily similar to the blue-eyed shadow but tinged with a fiery red glow. "Finally!" the figure boomed, its voice dripping with malice. "A descendant of the ones who imprisoned me." Lily screamed, grabbing Amelia's arm. But Amelia stood her ground, her mind racing. This entity wasn't the blue-eyed shadow it appeared to be. It was something else, a related evil force drawn by the similar magic at play. Remembering the lessons gleaned from the forgotten texts, Amelia knew this entity thrived on negative emotions, fear, doubt, and despair. With a deep breath, she forced a smile, her voice calm despite the churning fear within. "You're wrong," she declared. "You may resemble the blue-eyed shadow, but you are not it. We are stronger than you, stronger together." Lily, catching on, echoed Amelia's sentiment, their voices resonating with newfound confidence. The entity wavered, its form flickering. Remembering a phrase from the texts, Amelia chanted a short, powerful incantation. The room filled with a blinding white light, forcing the entity back into the crystal ball. The glowing red dimmed, replaced by a faint blue once more. Exhausted but triumphant, Amelia and Lily collapsed on the dusty floor, their hearts pounding. News of their second encounter with a supernatural entity spread like wildfire, solidifying their reputation as protectors of the town. While some remained skeptical, others were grateful, their fear of the unknown abetted by the sisters' bravery. As the years progressed, Amelia and Lily, along with a small group of trusted friends, continued their research into the paranormal. They became a beacon of hope, helping those grappling with unexplained occurrences. The sisters, forever marked by their past experiences, knew darkness lurked in the corners, but they also knew that the power of love, family, and courage could banish even the most persistent shadows.